Alright guys, after this movie I don't know what the fuck to think about life, because Sorry to Bother You is one of those indie movies that I wanted to see so bad and I want to support, and I'm glad I saw this in support of this movie, because this is one of those movies where it is so out there that, like, you're either gonna love the ride or hate it, and or dislike it. And I really love this ride. I thought that this movie... This is about this character named Cassius Green, who Lakeith Stanfield from Atlanta plays in as the main character. And he is this telemarketer who kind of goes up in the world in telemarketing. But while he does it, all this weird shit happens, and that's basically the plot. Like, I don't know how to really describe this very obtuse plot. Like, it is very... Like, that is the point of the plot. It's like he becomes a telemarketer and kind of rises up while stuff starts happening, and a lot of weird things with characters, a lot of weird things with what happens in the movie. Like, I really think that this movie is based on being weird, being different, trying to be something that nobody's ever seen before. And I feel like they succeeded in a lot of ways, because this is such an out there movie that it felt like an acid trip. Like, watching it, sometimes I was just like, what? Like, but it's genuinely hilarious, though. Like, almost every joke I laughed at. I think that this movie does a great job of that, and this movie does a funny job of, like, these characters, I feel like they're all fun and likable, and they're all interesting in their own right, and they've all got really funny ways of having these characters go through things. Like, for the main character to go through telemarketing starting out, and you've seen this in the trailers, where he has to use his white voice because he's a black guy, and another black guy tells him you gotta use your white voice. And I love the fact that when they talk, it's a different actor. So David Cross is Lakeith Stanfield's character whenever he talks, and like I think that's hilarious. And like, stuff like that is just so weird and out there that it cracked me up. And the funny thing about this movie is that it tries to, like, convey messages of, like, racism and moving up in the world, but still being kind of pulled down. And I think that, like, still being fucked even if you go up. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But it gives a really interesting way of interpreting a lot of these things that I like. Like, it feels like it does touch on racism in a weird way, like how these characters react to things, but it's supposed to be awkward on purpose, I'm guessing, and like, there's so many moments that are just so strange that I don't want to spoil, because this is one of those movies you should go in clean to, because whenever you get to that third act, like, I just sat there with my mouth open, like, what the fuck? Like, I literally couldn't close my mouth. I just sat there with my mouth open, like, what? And I never have that reaction, and this movie never gave any... I don't even think it gave any really subtle inkling to what the ending was, but I was just sitting there like, what? Like, I don't even... Like, it was just so out there, and it's hard to explain without saying what it is. But this had one of the most fucking weird third acts I've ever seen in a movie, and I'm just like, it changes so quickly from, like, what the movie was to this other thing, but not in a bad way for me personally, but I feel like people are going to either accept or deny that third act, so, but I loved it. I thought it was awesome. This movie, I think, is one of my favorite movies of the year so far. It's not my favorite, but it's up there. It's like top 10 probably, top 15. But and I've seen like 30 or 40 movies, so that's why it's probably my top 10 or 15. But it really does a great job of being interesting. All the cast members are great. Lakeith Stanfield is great. Tessa Thompson is awesome. Again, I love seeing her in things. Armie Hammer is in this, and he's great. And the voices of the white voices of the black characters, it's bad to say out loud, but the white voices, like Patton Oswalt and David Cross, like that, like, those are hilarious. And there's hilarious gags in this movie that I don't want to spoil. Like, you need to see this on your own, because it really, There's a scene with an elevator. Like, even if you've seen that scene in the trailer, there's a funnier thing that's not in the trailer, but scene in the elevator, one of my favorite moments in the movie too. Just a great comedic movie with a great weird ass ending and a great weird ass way of being a different movie. But it felt like it was an old style movie, the way they used the cuts and fade outs. Like, it felt like it was trying to be like a movie that was more like in the 80s. I feel like the way with the style, the way it looks, the way it cuts and fades out and things, it does the thing where it tries to be like a classic kind of old school movie, and I like that. I like that this movie is really great comedy. Laughed almost the whole time. Great actors, great style and distinction from being anything from another movie that I've seen this year, and just a fucking weird ass great third act. So overall, just I really loved it. I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I saw it. It's one I was really hyped to see, and the hype really didn't let me down because I loved it.